Alrighty, here's our next notes page called conversion rates. But I'm already doing all the conversion things. Too bad. We got to do more. Da-da-da. All right. So, what do I mean by conversion rates? I mean, whenever we see 20 feet, we're going to convert it into something different. That says, okay, great, inches. So, if we're going to be converting, we're going to be using rates to do so. So if we want to see how many inches are in 20 feet, first we've got to make a proportion. And the proportion will help us to be able to figure out how many inches are in 20 feet. Now there is something very special that you guys are going to get. I will give it to you when you get to class. It is a conversion rate chart. This tells you all the different conversion rates that you are going to use in 6th grade. So, which one are we going to use on that last problem that we just saw? It's right here. 1 foot equals 12 inches. Now, a lot of you probably already knew that one, but there are some conversion rates on this list that you might not know. Okay, so let's use our conversion rate, 1 foot to 12 inches. Now, you might be thinking, well, Ms. Zwart, that's not a rate, but it is a rate. If we were to write it like this, 1 foot, 12 inches, now it looks like what we've been working with during these last couple of units. So, let's go back to our problem, and let's write 1 foot to 12 inches. This is known as our conversion rate. Okay? So as long as you have 3 parts to a proportion, you will be able to figure out what the missing part is. Okay? We use something very fancy called cross multiply and divide. Okay, cross multiply and divide means you multiply the two amounts that are across from each other and you divide by the leftover number. So cross multiply 20 times 12, and I'm going to use a quick trick. I'm going to do 12 times 2, and I'm going to add that 0 in for the 20 later. 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 1 is 2. And that 0 that we kind of hid, we'll just bring it down, 240. Okay, so we cross multiply, and now we divide by the number that's left over. 240 divided by 1, well, we know that that's just going to be 240. So 20 feet is 240 inches. And that is how we're going to use our conversion rates. Here is our steps for what I just did, called cross multiply and divide. Go ahead and copy down this whole notes page. So like we went over just a second ago, step 1 is to first write the proportion. Okay, a proportion are 2 rates that are equal to each other. Then you multiply the cross, 50 times 30, for step 2. And you divide by the number that's left over. So here, 50 times 30 would be 1,500. And we would divide 1,500 by 20. And we would get 75. So there are 20 inches in 50 feet. Oh, they did this one a little bit differently. They matched up inches this way and feet this way, meaning 25 feet. So This example on this notes didn't quite follow a conversion rate, but it is the steps for how to use cross, multiply, and divide, which is what we're going to be using with our conversion rates. So this one, I just found out there aren't 20 inches and 50 feet, but this is a proportional scenario that equals another proportional rates, okay? So that's what we're going to be using when we're doing our converting. So let's go to a real example of converting. And let's convert 15 quarts to gallons. So first, we need, before we can do cross, multiply, and divide, we need to find our conversion rate. So our conversion rate is, well, what are we looking for? We're looking for quarts to gallons. Okay, so do we have anything on here that takes us from quarts to gallons? Man, not quite. Oh, right here. 1 quart, 4 quarts equals 1 gallon. Okay, so first we go to our chart and find our conversion rate. Then we can go back to our problem. And we have 4 quarts and 1 gallon. And we're going to make a proportion to where we have 15 quarts, and we're trying to determine how many gallons. Now I want you to pause the video and try cross, multiply, and divide. Alright, so when you cross multiplied, you did 15 times 1, and it's just 15. Then you divided by the number that's left over. So 15 divided by 4, and you should have gotten 3 and 75 hundredths. Okay. Go ahead, pause the video, and determine this problem using our chart. All right, so for this problem, our conversion rate is yards to feet. So we'll have to use right here, 1 yard equals 3 feet. All right, so we'll write our proportions. 1 yard equals 3 feet. But now we want to see, okay, well, how many feet is 36 yards? Okay, so we cross multiply and divide. 36 times 3. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 3 is 9. Add 1 more is 10. 108. There are 108 feet in 36 yards. Okay. Now we're going to have one more problem. Okay. In order to solve this problem, first we need to know the conversion rate of meters to centimeters. So our conversion rate from meters and centimeters is right here. Okay, 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So go ahead and pause the video here and see if you can solve this problem. All right, so when you've set up your proportions, then you cross multiply 100 times 1 and 8/100. When you multiply these two, you'll end up getting this long number, but don't forget, when you have 2 decimal points in your question, that's how many you jump over in your answer, so we'll get 108. Well, when you cross multiply, then you're supposed to divide, but I already know that dividing by 1 is just going to keep my number the same. So 1 8/100 millimeters equals 108 centimeters. GT students, stick around for one more problem. Pre-AP students, you are free to go. See you tomorrow. All right, go ahead and pause the video here and see if you can solve this question. All right, for this problem, we need to know how many cups are in 1 quart. Well, on our conversion chart, it doesn't tell us cups to quarts. We know cups to pints and pints to quarts. Okay, so we're going to need to do a little bit of problem solving to figure out, well, how many cups are in 1 quart? Well, if there are 2 cups in 1 pint, and there are 2 pints in 1 quart, how many cups would be in 1 quart? Well, we would take 2 cups to figure out how many in 1 pint. And instead of saying 2 pints, we would just multiply this 2 by how many cups are in 1 pint to get us to 4 cups in 1 quart. Okay? So we know there are 4 cups in 1 quart, but this is a 2-quart pitcher. So how many cups can we have? Well, if 1 pint is 4 cups, how many cups would be 2 pints? 8 cups. And there's our proportion. Okay? So we know our pitcher can hold 8 cups. Okay? Now we need to figure out, well, how many cups do we have in our drink? Well, what I did is I took all the whole numbers and I added them together first. So I know I've got 8 right there. Then I added these fractions together to see, okay, 1/4 plus 1/3, that's going to equal, well, first we've got to get common denominators. 3/12 plus 4/12 is 7/12. So we have 8 cups and 7/12. Will we be able to fill our pitcher, or will it overflow? Since our pitcher only holds 8 cups, and we have this many in our recipe, the pitcher will not hold our cups. All right, thanks for sticking around. See you guys later.